You ever just stare at that pile of blinking boxes by your desk and wonder, what on earth do all these things do? Well, you are definitely not alone. So today, we're going to dive in and decode the hardware that makes your internet actually, work.
Yeah, this is the big one, right? Modem, router, switch, they all seem to have the same basic job, get you online. But here's the thing, each one plays a totally specific and super important role. And honestly, knowing the difference is the secret sauce to a faster, more stable connection.
Okay, to make this all make sense, we're going to do something kind of fun. We're going to follow a single piece of data, a little data packet on its mission. Just imagine it's a tiny digital messenger, and its job is to run from your computer out to a website and bring a message back.
And to help us on this journey, we're going to use a simple analogy that makes everything click. Think of your entire home network as a small office building. Every single one of these boxes we're talking about, they're basically a different employee or a part of that building, and each one has a very specific job to do.
All right, so our little data package journey starts inside the office, right there on your local network. And the very first employee it's going to run into is the person in charge of all the internal mail.
And that employee, my friends, is the switch. Now, its official job title is basically Central Hub for Wired Stuff. It's the thing that connects all the devices that have a physical cable plugged into them. We're talking your desktop computer, your printer, maybe a game console. And it just directs the flow of data between them.
But here's the cool thing. A switch is smart. It's not just yelling the message out for everyone to hear. It operates on what we call Layer 2 of the network, and it looks at the unique ID for each device. That's called a MAC address, and it sends that data packet directly to where it needs to go. Nobody else is bothered. It is incredibly efficient.
So back to our office analogy, the switch is the mailroom clerk. Simple as that. This clerk knows exactly which desk gets which memo. They pick up a package from, say, the accounting desk and walk it directly over to the sales desk on the same floor. No interruptions for anyone else.
Okay, but what happens when our data packet has a bigger mission? What if it needs to leave the building entirely and go out to the internet? Well, it can't just stroll out the front door. It has to go through the proper channels.
And that, right there, is where the router steps in. A router has one main job, connecting different networks. It's the bridge, the gateway, between your little private office network and the huge, sprawling public network we call the internet.
Now, a router plays on a different level. It works on layer 3 of the network, and instead of those local MAC addresses, it uses IP addresses. And you could think of an IP address as a global street address for the internet. The router looks at that street address and figures out the best, fastest route for our little packet to get to its final destination. So in our office building, who is the router? It's the front desk receptionist. They take any package that needs to go outside, they look at the street address, that's the IP address, and they hand it off to the mail carrier. And just as important, they're the one who receives all the incoming mail and says, this goes up to the 3rd floor. Okay, let's just nail this down. Switch versus router. The switch is the mailroom. It handles all the internal mail just between desks inside the office. The router is the front desk. It handles everything coming in or going out of the building. And that really is the main difference. Internal traffic versus external traffic. One network versus connecting 2 other networks.
All right, so our front desk receptionist, the router, has handed off the packet, but it's not quite ready for the open road. The signal from your computer, which is digital, has to be translated into a format that can actually travel over the physical wires outside, the cable or phone lines. And that translation job, that belongs to the modem. In fact, its name is literally short for what it does, modulator-demodulator.
Back in our office building, the modem is the loading dock. It's where the internal office packages get put into the special, standardized containers that the city's mail trucks use. Those trucks, by the way, are your Internet Service Provider, or ISP. So the modem is that crucial, final translation step before your data can actually leave the building and hit the road.
Okay, our office isn't quite complete. We've got a couple more really important staff members to meet. One of them is responsible for making deliveries to people who don't have a physical desk. And the other, well, the other's in charge of security for the whole place.
So first up, we've got the access point. Now, a lot of the routers you get today have this function built right in, but its job is super straightforward. It takes that wired network and turns it into a Wi-Fi signal. That's what lets your phone, your laptop, your tablet, all that good stuff connect to the network without being physically plugged in.
So what is that in our analogy? The access point is like a fleet of wireless delivery drones buzzing around the office.
It can get that data packet to anyone, anywhere in the building, even if they don't have a desk with a physical mail slot. It's all about that sweet, sweet wireless freedom.
This brings us to a really important question, though. We've spent all this time talking about how data gets out. But what about stopping unwanted stuff from getting in? In our office, who's the bouncer? Who's in charge of security? Now, you might be thinking, well, the router at the front desk. But there's someone much better suited for that job.
And the answer is a firewall. Look, while our front desk receptionist, the router, can probably do some basic filtering, you wouldn't rely on them to handle a real security threat, right? You want a dedicated specialist.
And that specialist is the firewall. Its entire reason for being is to be a security barrier. It inspects every single data packet that tries to come in or go out, and it checks them against a strict set of security rules that you get to set. It's the ultimate gatekeeper.
So, you guessed it, in our analogy, the firewall is the security guard posted right at the front door. They're checking the ID of every single person, every single package that tries to come through. They've got a list, and if you're not on it, you're not getting in. Simple as that. Anything that looks even a little bit shady gets turned away, keeping the whole building safe.
And there you have it. It's not just one mysterious blinking box doing everything. It's an entire team, a whole office staff, all working together in perfect harmony to keep your digital life running smoothly.
So let's do a quick roll call of our network dream team. You've got the switch, your mail room for internal traffic. You've got the router, the front desk connecting you to the outside world. There's the modem, your loading dock doing the translating. Don't forget the firewall, your eagle-eyed security guard, and of course the access point, your fleet of wireless delivery drones. Every single one has a critical part to play.
So now you know all the players on the team. But here's a final thought for you. In today's world, a lot of these jobs are crammed into one single box that your internet provider gives you. And that brings up the real question. Is your all-in-one front desk receptionist also a good enough security guard? Really understanding what each of these jobs entails is the first and most important step to making sure your network isn't just online, but actually truly secure.